For generations, learners have relied on a trusted tool, the humble flashcard. It's a simple yet effective method for memorizing facts, dates, vocabulary words, and formulas. On one side, you write a term, like photosynthesis, and on the other, its definition. This technique works wonderfully when the goal is to recall isolated pieces of information. It builds a foundation of knowledge, brick by brick, allowing you to quickly access specific details when you need them for a test or a quiz. The process is straightforward, and honestly, the satisfaction of flipping through a stack of correctly answered cards is a great motivator for any student. However, true understanding goes far beyond simple memorization. The world is not a collection of disconnected facts. It's a complex web of interconnected ideas. While knowing the definition of photosynthesis is a great start, it doesn't automatically help you understand its relationship to cellular respiration, its role in the global carbon cycle, or its connection to the evolution of life on Earth. Traditional flashcards, by their very nature, tend to keep information in separate boxes. They help you build the individual bricks, but they don't give you the mortar or the blueprint to construct a magnificent building of knowledge. This limitation becomes more apparent as you advance in your studies. In history, you need to understand events happened, not just happened. In science, you must see how principles from physics explain phenomena in chemistry. Relying solely on rote memorization can leave you with a fragile understanding, a collection of facts that are easily forgotten and difficult to apply in new situations. You might ace the multiple choice test but struggle when asked to write an essay that requires you to connect different concepts. The goal of learning isn't just to fill your head with information, it's to develop the ability to think critically and solve complex problems. This is where we need to upgrade our learning tools. We need a method that encourages us to see the bigger picture, to find the hidden threads that tie different subjects together. Imagine if your study method not only helped you remember facts, but also trained your brain to actively seek out connections, compare different perspectives, and synthesize new insights. This is the next step in effective learning. We need to move from merely collecting information to actively building a rich, interconnected network of understanding that can stand the test of time and be applied to the real world in meaningful ways. Let's explore a more powerful way to learn syntopic flashcards. The word syntopic comes from the idea of a syntopicon, which is a guide that brings together ideas from many different books on a single topic. A syntopic flashcard does the same thing on a smaller scale. It's not just about a single fact or definition. Instead, it's a prompt designed to make you connect ideas from multiple sources, recognize patterns across different fields, and synthesize your own unique understanding. It transforms learning from a passive act of memorization into an active process of intellectual construction. The first core element of a syntopic flashcard is its cross-linking prompt. Instead of asking what is democracy, a syntopic prompt might ask, how did the concept of democracy in ancient Athens compare with the principles of the Iroquois Confederacy? And what can both teach us about modern governance? This question immediately forces you to pull information from two different historical contexts and think about their relationship. It builds a mental bridge between two islands of knowledge that might have otherwise remained separate in your mind, encouraging a more holistic view of the subject. The second key element is multi-source referencing. A good syntopic card is not built from a single textbook chapter. It draws upon a variety of sources: a podcast you listened to, a documentary you watched, an academic article you read, and a chapter from your course material. On the back of the card, you don't just write a simple answer, you might list bullet points from each source, noting where they agree or disagree. This practice teaches you to evaluate information from different perspectives and builds a more nuanced and robust understanding than you could ever get from one book alone. Finally, these cards are built around pattern recognition and synthesis tasks. They prompt you to find the underlying themes or principles that connect seemingly disparate topics. For example, a card might ask you to explain the pattern of feedback loops, using examples from both economics, like supply and demand, and biology, such as predator-prey cycles. This pushes you beyond simple recall and into the realm of higher-order thinking. You're not just retrieving information, you're actively looking for abstract rules and creating a new insight by combining different pieces of knowledge. This is the very essence of deep, lasting learning. Building your own syntopic flashcard system is an incredibly rewarding process that deepens your understanding from the very start. The first step is to choose a central theme or question you want to explore. Don't just pick a broad subject like physics. Instead, narrow it down to a core concept, such as the law of conservation of energy. This focused theme will act as the central hub around which you will build your network of connected ideas. A clear theme prevents you from getting lost and ensures your learning is directed and purposeful. Next, you must gather diverse sources related to your theme. For our conservation of energy theme, you wouldn't just use your physics textbook. You could also find a chapter in a chemistry book about energy and chemical reactions, watch a video about how power plants work, read an article about metabolic processes in biology, and even explore how economists discuss energy markets. The goal is to collect different perspectives on the same core idea. This variety is crucial because it provides the raw material for making novel connections and seeing your theme in a multi-dimensional way. Now comes the most important part: crafting strong connective prompts. This is where you put on your thinking cap, look at your sources, and ask questions that force you to link them. For our example, a prompt could be, how is the principle of conservation of energy demonstrated in both a swinging pendulum in physics and the human body's use of calories in biology? Another could be, compare and contrast how a coal power plant and a solar panel each adhere to the law of conservation of energy, noting their efficiencies and byproducts. These prompts demand synthesis, not just regurgitation. Finally, organize your cards and practice intelligently. As you create your cards, use tags to categorize them by subtopic, source, or the type of thinking they require, like hash compare, hash critique, or hash analogy. This makes it easier to review specific connections later. When you practice, don't just go through them one by one. Shuffle them to create unexpected juxtapositions. Use spaced repetition, reviewing cards at increasing intervals over time, to move the information from your short-term memory to your long-term knowledge base. This systematic practice solidifies the neural pathways you're building. The magic of Syntopic Flashcards lies in how they work with your brain's natural learning processes. When you simply memorize an isolated fact, you create a single weak neural connection. It's like a lonely path in a forest that can easily become overgrown and disappear if not used frequently. However, when you create a syntopic card, you're not just forging one path. You're building an entire intersection of neural highways. By actively connecting ideas, like linking the philosophy of Stoicism with modern cognitive behavioral therapy, you are weaving a rich tapestry of knowledge in your mind. This interconnectedness makes information much easier to recall. This method significantly enhances pattern recognition, one of the most powerful functions of the human brain. Our brains are wired to find patterns, and Syntopic flashcards train this ability directly. When you're prompted to find the same underlying principle in different contexts, you're essentially teaching your brain to look beyond the surface details and identify the fundamental structures of knowledge. This skill, known as transfer learning, is the hallmark of a true expert. It's the ability to take a concept learned in one area and apply it to solve a completely new problem in another. Moreover, the effort required to synthesize information strengthens long-term memory. The act of comparing sources, evaluating evidence, and formulating your own conclusion is a form of desirable difficulty. It feels harder than simple memorization, but that very struggle is what tells your brain, hey, this is important, store it where I can find it later. This active engagement encodes the knowledge more deeply, making it resistant to forgetting. You're not just a passive recipient of information, you're an active creator of understanding, and your brain rewards that effort with durable, lasting memory. To get started, begin small. Choose one topic you're passionate about and create just 3 to 5 syntopic cards. Don't worry about making them perfect at first. The key is to shift your mindset from, what do I need to remember, to how does this connect to what I already know? Use digital tools like Anki or Obsidian to easily tag and link your cards, or stick with physical index cards and colored pens. The ultimate goal is to move beyond being a student who just collects facts and become a thinker who connects them. This is the path to genuine, lifelong learning.